Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister announces plans to amend local government laws. Dallin Carter makes Trinidad and Tobago proud with silver in FINA Junior World Swimming Championships. And more from our special Budget Review feature series. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessar has announced plans to amend laws governing municipal corporations with regards to citizens electing their representatives. She revealed the plans even as she confirmed the local government election date as October 21st.
The date for local government elections will be the 21st of October 2013.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar announcing the date for local government elections during this week's post-cabinet media briefing. Speaking to reporters, the PM says amendments to the Municipal Corporations Act 1990 will be laid in the Parliament this week and scheduled for debate on September 6th in the lower house.
The present Municipal Corporations Act was passed in 1990. It is now over 20 years old. It must be revisited to address the rapidly evolving and changing social, economic and cultural environment of the century. The concept of proportional representation is one that has been advocated as a fairer and stronger system for many years now. It has had the blessing of the Wooden Commission in 1974 and more recently the 2006 draft constitution of the Principles of Fairness Group, which proposed a system of proportional representation for the selection of senators.
Amendments to the Municipal Corporations Act are expected to be completed 2 weeks before the issue of the writ declaring local government elections.
The time has come to have the aldermen elected by the population and not selected by councillors after an election. Our examples over the years have shown us that this process can be manipulated and controlled by political deal-making and political indiscipline to the detriment of the population who have no say in what the councillors may want to do after they have been elected.
The changes will see selection of aldermen via the democratic process rather than chosen by the corporations.
The recommendations of the EBC for the seat distribution and boundaries in existing councils will be implemented. The current method for choosing aldermen will be abolished. Every vote will now count. By introducing a mixed system of election, using the first-past-the-post system for the existing electoral districts, combine that with a system of proportional representation for the election of aldermen, is what my government is seeking to do to expand, deepen, widen the electoral process in local government. This expansion will ensure that every vote will count in every district, because those votes will be used to calculate the allocation of the seats of aldermen. Even if a single party to win all the seats on the first-past-the-post system, there will more than likely be an allocation of at least one alderman to another party, which will ensure that another political voice would sit on such a council.
Meanwhile, the PM says the amendments will give provisions for persons wishing to represent as independent members.
As regards the status of persons who wish to contest electoral districts as independent candidates, there will be no impediment to the existing system that will continue to permit persons to stand for election as independent candidates in any electoral district. Naturally, the rule that disqualifies a councillor from being an alderman will apply, but independent candidates are more than welcome to stand for election as councillors. It is important that this reform to the method by which aldermen are to be chosen in all the local government councils is implemented before the next local government elections.
She adds that her government remains committed to bringing legislation to amend the term limits for prime ministers allotted in the Constitution.
As you recall, we had promised in our manifesto term limits. That is in draft and is to be considered by the Cabinet. And the other one has to do with the right of recall, which we had also promised. So whilst we are delivering on the ground, we also believe it's very important to deliver in the governance structures with respect to governance issues, and this is where we are in this regard.
The Prime Minister has also assured the Elections and Boundaries Commission's readiness for the elections. Kimberam Kalawan, News 4.
Meanwhile, Legal Affairs Minister, the Honorable Prakash Ramana, expressed his pleasure in the Prime Minister's announcement to make amendments to the Municipal Corporations Act. He says this will only make delivery to the citizenry better and described it as representing a true democracy.
This is really the first step to a whole slew of changes that the country expects of us. And we have started that process. Let me just say, in relation to the consultations on the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, we have completed the public consultations, and we will be bringing the report very soon to the population, and certainly to bring it into legislation. As the Prime Minister has indicated, even before that period, we'd be having the right of recall and fixed terms for term limits to the Prime Minister, so that what we promised in 2010 is being delivered now.
He says reform of this act of governance has been put off too long and is willing to ensure proper representation is afforded to the public.
The most important arms of government that has been neglected for far too long, and that we are paying the attention that it deserves to enhance and strengthen it. But it is not the only reform that we shall be engaged in. But certainly for this election, we think it critically important that we introduce proportional representation, and I'm grateful to be part of it.
When we come back, the National Youth Awards. Stay with us. As the anticipation builds for the presentation of the 2013-2014 fiscal package by the Honorable Larry Hawai, Minister of Finance and the Economy, we will analyze and review the promises and commitments made by the government in the 2012-2013 fiscal package. Today we look at the commitment given by government to develop this country's public utilities and public transport system.
Electricity, running water, and a nationwide public transportation system. These are three of the key indicators used when measuring how developed any country really is. The government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in its 2012-2013 fiscal package, saw it fit to allocate the Ministries of Public Utilities and Transport a combined $5.46 billion to be used to develop these areas. The state organization responsible for the distribution and regulation of electricity, the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Company, has spent the last year ensuring communities throughout the country are not left without this vital amenity. T&TEC has embarked on many electricity and lighting initiatives, including street lighting, public recreation grounds lighting, and encouraging persons to conserve electricity. Since last year's budget, T&TEC has lit recreational grounds throughout the country, doing approximately one every other week, and to date has completed 27 recreational grounds. Public Utilities Minister Nizam Bach has in recent time commended the Commission on its National Public Lighting Program, saying the government has noted the importance of the initiative.
I would like to emphasize that the recreation ground illumination program is spreading like wildfire in our country. Since it was introduced through the provision of the National Social Development Program, it has accelerated tremendously. Subsequent to its launching, a large number of requests from sports clubs and community organizations have been made to have their recreation grounds equipped with lighting facilities. Against this background, government decided that the illumination of recreation grounds was very important, not only for the sporting activities which it enhanced, but for the overall health of citizens.
There has also been increased effort to ensure persons no longer experience electricity outages, particularly in the capital city, through the commissioning of the Gateway substation in Port of Spain. Meanwhile, Minister Hawai recognized that the transportation system in Trinidad and Tobago is another area which requires constant review and upgrade.
Passengers will soon have real-time information on their arrivals, departures, and scheduling of services through the installation of GPS devices in the entire fleet of buses. Secondly, 100 new CNG-powered buses will be added to the existing fleet, ensuring that the cost of the service remains cost-effective. A further 300 buses will be converted from diesel to CNG. A bus complex is being established in San Fernando to service the southern regions, with bus hubs in Siparia and Point Fortin. And fourthly, a bus facility would be established in Charlottesville, Tobago, to allow for early morning transportation.
The government, however, has realized that the upgrades needed to public transportation and public utilities to ensure they both see their maximum potential cannot all be done by the state. It is in this light that Minister Hawaii proposed the introduction of public-private partnerships.
Additional to the well-conceptualized and growth-impacting public sector investment program, we are expanding infrastructure. The establishment of public-private partnerships for rolling out infrastructure and the associated delivery of services represents a second pillar for stimulating growth. We will now seek to enhance the role of the private sector in economic activities. These partnerships would establish agreements between the government and private sector entities, which would include contractors, operators, and financiers. The private partners would undertake a number of activities associated with public procurement to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the capital asset to the specifications established by the government.
So, as the date draws nearer for the 2013-2014 fiscal package, citizens will hope that the government continues its emphasis on improving the supply of electricity and water to all citizens and does what it can to provide a reliable and efficient public transportation system. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago is in good hands, especially with future leaders such as those who are nominated for National Youth Awards this year. With representation in each category representing a national sector, the prospects are high for a ready and capable generation of leaders.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development commemorated International Youth Day 2013, which took place on August 12th with the hosting of the National Youth Awards 2013 at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center. This year, a total of 94 nominations were submitted to the National Youth Awards Judging Committee, which comprised 6 judges. Legal consultant at the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Gayatri Pagas, who also sat as chairman of the judging committee, said the nominations were of high quality and all scored either excellent or very good in the marking process.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development unites with the national community in hosting a celebration, the achievement of our youth across multiple spheres of interest, from entrepreneurship to volunteerism, and even agriculture. This evening, 23 accomplished young men and women will walk the stage and receive much-deserved accolades in 11 different categories for their unerring dedication to excellence and self-sacrifice. The awards are the manifestation of the government's commitment to ensure that youth flourish by bringing focus to youth who are making significant contribution to the society, youth role models who contribute to nation building, the achievement of young people in identified areas and communities, the work of community youth organizations who have contributed to supporting youth development and to encourage other agencies and sectors to provide greater overall support to national youth development.
The Youth Awards were given to persons in the 12 to 17-year-old and 18 to 29-year-old age groups of each category, and there were even special awards. Our very own news presenter, Joseph Lopez, was a nominee in this year's Leadership Award category, which was the most competitive category with 11 nominees. The Honourable Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, delivering her feature address, called for a paradigm shift in the way the contributions of the nation's youth was viewed.
Let us abandon the notion that the only custodian of community, national, regional, and international development are adults. And we must embrace the role of youth in every facet of development. To do this portends that we must suffer the guiding principle to prevail, that each person has a purpose in life. This principle guides our vision for every youth that through governmental intervention, our youth not only can, but will identify their purpose and actively participate in the process of planning the achievement of that purpose.
Minister Kudri has given the commitment that a lot more work will be done in developing the nation's youth and harnessing their abilities. She revealed that a comprehensive proposal on a youth development policy is to be submitted to the Cabinet in 2 weeks' time, which will mark a milestone achievement in the fight for greater attention to be placed on the respect for and the understanding of our nation's youth. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Sport is up next. Stay with us. Just weeks after George Bovell III earned this country's first FINA World Championship medal, his junior counterpart Dylan Carter is also making Trinidad and Tobago proud. Carter has captured this country's first medal at the FINA Junior World Swimming Championships in Dubai. The U.S.-based Carter grabbed silver in the 50 meters butterfly last evening in 23.98 seconds. He had previously broken the national record when he clocked 23.87 seconds in the preliminaries of the event. The Honorable Anil Roberts, Minister of Sport, has publicly praised Carter's achievement in a release saying, quote, "I admire the consistency Dylan has shown throughout the meet as well as his tenacity in going for a medal in the 50 meters butterfly with a brilliant swim." For Trinidad and Tobago to celebrate his achievement on the eve of our 51st year of independence is truly a blessing, as again our athletes do us proud on the international stage, end quote. Congratulations to Dylan Carter from the management and staff of the Government Information Services Limited. In other sporting news, World Championship gold medalist Jehu Gordon is currently competing in Europe, but this has not deterred the government of Trinidad and Tobago from announcing the rewards the hurdler will receive for his outstanding efforts in Moscow at the World Track and Field Championships. Wayne Cunningham has the details.
The Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago has just approved and recommended the following for you. And we tell you, first of all, congratulations from everyone in Trinidad and Tobago and all citizens for your brilliant victory. And we know you have only just begun. But the government of Trinidad and Tobago has will reward you with $800,000, a mid-size house, HDC house to be determined by yourself and the Minister of Housing, an annual bursary from the University of the West Indies on the recommendation of the Minister of Tertiary Education Skills Training to compensate for your cost of housing, books, meals, and transportation while you study at UWI. Free airline tickets on Caribbean Airlines in accordance with the Caribbean Airlines Board policy for rewards of our athletes, as well as the Shakonia Gold Medal, which is the second highest reward of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Congratulations, my brother.
The Honorable Anil Roberts, Minister of Sport, personally relaying to world champion hurdler Jehu Gordon the rewards he received from a grateful nation for a first World Championship gold medal since Atto Boldon's. Minor rewards when taken into context.
Some people might think, but why one race and you give this person so much? No, it's very little. In fact, it's just a token, because not only is it a lifetime of sacrifice for the red, white, and black, but when Jehu Gordon won his medal the first time live, over 150 million people worldwide were seeing Trinidad and Tobago, not only for the 3 minutes before when they were introducing the athletes, but for 4 or 5 minutes after, then on the podium. And so you can't really put a money value. We're moving into sports tourism and diversifying the economy, and these athletes like Jehu are our ambassadors, and we are proud of them. So this is just a small token to say, hey, we love you and we appreciate what you have done, but it cannot compensate them in monetary value for all that they have done for the country.
The minister took the opportunity to thank Jehu on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago.
The whole country will be looking at you. Let's see if we could dip under 48 seconds, and then we will be there to greet you on your return home. Congratulations, We love you, and we say hi from everybody. The whole of Maraval, the whole of Trinidad and Tobago is telling you thank you for all your efforts. God bless.
Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news right after this. Stay with us. With Independence Day just mere hours away, citizens of Tobago gave their views on whether or not they believe that the Twin Island state is really independent.
The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago will celebrate its 51st year as an independent nation on Saturday, August 31st, 2013. Trinidad and Tobago obtained independence from Great Britain in 1962, becoming a republic in 1976. This day is marked by a patriotic Independence Day parade in the morning and brilliant fireworks and festivities at nights in both islands. The question is, however, after 51 years, is Trinidad and Tobago truly independent? This is how some citizens in Tobago responded.
No country could really be truly independent. I believe we depend on, other countries, vice versa.
I believe it's a great extent, right? Because nearly anything you want, you can get here, right? Nearly anything you want from any part of the world, we have it here. You can find it, and if you don't have it by some chance, it's just like an internet call away.
Being away for 23 years and being back now home, the country has improved a lot.
But he believes, more importantly, that citizens need to start serving the ultimate creator and provider to see better results for a happier and healthier Trinidad and Tobago. Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.